There is a terrible moment in the life of someone who loves when you realize that the person by your side not only hurts you, but feeds on your pain. What kind of human being smiles when you cry? What kind of soul finds pleasure in your despair? The answer will shock you. 45% of the signs I'm about to reveal today are enough to confirm that you are not just in a difficult relationship. You are being used as emotional fuel by a sadistic narcissist. Carl Jung warned us about the existence of the projected shadow, that dark part of the psyche that some individuals cannot integrate and end up dumping on others. But what Jung discovered about emotional vampires who disguise themselves as loving partners goes beyond what most people are prepared to see. They don't just project their shadow onto you, they revel in the process. If you've ever felt like you were going crazy in a relationship, if you've ever questioned your own sanity, while the person who was supposed to love you seemed increasingly satisfied with your confusion, you need to know what I'm about to reveal in the next few minutes. Because recognizing these signs isn't just about identifying an abusive pattern, it's about saving your own soul before it is completely devoured. But first, you need to have the courage to look at yourself in the mirror of truth that I will show you. Because what you are about to discover about cruelty disguised as love can forever change the way you see your own story. Look directly into yourself now. How many times have you found yourself walking on eggshells, trying not to awaken the wrath of the person who should be your safe haven? How many times have you swallowed your own needs, stifled your feelings, just to keep the peace in a war you didn't even know you were fighting? Have you ever sat in silence, watching the person you love turn your suffering into personal entertainment? Have you ever noticed that specific glint in his eyes when you are vulnerable, hurt, begging for understanding? Have you ever noticed how he seems more alive, more energized, precisely in the moments when you are most broken? While you doubt the reality you feel, the manipulation deepens. While you question your own perceptions, the other's shadow settles into your psyche like an emotional parasite. While you try to be more understanding, more patient, more loving, you are feeding exactly what you should be rejecting. Your true self, your deepest essence, is screaming for protection. But you have been conditioned to interpret these screams as paranoia, as oversensitivity, as an inability to love unconditionally. You have been trained to distrust your own intuition. Do you recognize this emotional prison? It's because you're not imagining things. You're not exaggerating. You are not the problem. You were chosen as a target by someone who found an inexhaustible source of narcissistic supply in your capacity to love. And today, you will understand exactly how this diabolical dynamic works, and most importantly, how to break these invisible chains. The sadistic narcissist operates from an existential void so deep that it can only be temporarily filled with the vital energy of another person. Unlike the common narcissist who seeks admiration and validation, the sadist seeks something much more specific and disturbing. He feeds on others' suffering as if it were a drug. Jung would call this an unintegrated shadow that projects destructively. The sadistic narcissist cannot bear the confrontation with his own emptiness, so he creates a theater of cruelty where you become simultaneously the main actor and the audience of your own emotional destruction. Imagine an emotional vampire who not only drains your energy, but needs to see you being drained to feel pleasure. That is the essence of narcissistic sadism. The pathological need to witness and cause suffering as a way to feel powerful, relevant, alive. This dynamic works because the sadist projects all his self-hatred onto you, transforming you into the receptacle of everything he cannot accept about himself. And the more you suffer, the more he convinces himself that you deserve this suffering, creating a diabolical cycle where your pain justifies his cruelty. Now that you understand the psychological root of this perverse dynamic, I will reveal the 5 signs that unequivocally denounce the presence of a sadistic narcissist in your life. Remember, 45% of these signs are enough to confirm that you are being systematically destroyed by someone who should be protecting you. The first sign is the most disturbing of all: visible pleasure in your pain. You know that terrible moment when you are crying, vulnerable, begging for understanding, and you notice something cold in the gaze of the person in front of you? It's not indifference. It's not irritation. It's satisfaction. The sadistic narcissist cannot completely hide his reaction when he manages to break you emotionally. It could be an almost imperceptible smile at the corner of his mouth, that diabolical smirk. It could be a specific glint in his eyes, as if he had just watched his favorite movie. It could be a subtle change in posture, as if he had just received the best news of the day. This pleasure is not accidental. It is the fuel that drives the entire dynamic of the relationship. Your anguish is not a side effect of arguments. It is the goal. Your tears are not a consequence of misunderstandings. They are the trophy he consciously seeks. Jung would say that you are witnessing pure shadow in action, the part of the human psyche that finds power in destruction, that feeds on chaos, that only feels alive when causing emotional death. And the most frightening thing is that this reaction happens precisely in the moments when you most need support and protection. The second sign is public humiliation as a sport. The sadistic narcissist is not content to destroy you in private. He needs an audience. He needs others to witness his domination over you, because private humiliation does not fully feed his sick ego. This manifests through cruel jokes about you in front of friends, exposure of your most intimate secrets in casual conversations, demeaning comments disguised as humor at family gatherings. He turns your vulnerabilities into public entertainment, your insecurities into jokes, your failures into funny stories he tells anyone who wants to listen. The goal is not just to humiliate you. It is to enjoy others' reactions, the collective embarrassment, the way people become uncomfortable but don't know how to react. He feeds as much on your shame as on the silent complicity of those who watch your destruction without intervening. This is the projection of the shadow in its cruelest form. He transfers to you all the shame he should feel about himself, turning you into the public scapegoat for his own inadequacies. And the more you react, the more ammunition he has for his next public performances. The third sign is control through intentional fear. The sadistic narcissist's reactions are not proportionate to your behaviors. They are calculated to generate terror. You forget to buy something at the store and he explodes as if you had committed treason. You arrive 5 minutes late and he treats you as if you were a criminal. These explosions are not about what you did. They are about psychological conditioning. He is training your nervous system to associate any natural behavior of yours with terrifying consequences. You begin to live in a constant state of alert, always anticipating the next disproportionate punishment. The silent treatments he uses are not common tantrums. They are calculated periods of emotional deprivation that can last days or weeks, designed specifically to break you psychologically. The threats he makes, even when veiled, are timed to hit your moments of greatest vulnerability. Jung would recognize this as a systematic attempt to fragment your psyche, to divide your personality between the part that tries to please to survive and the part that knows something is terribly wrong. This fragmentation is exactly what the sadist seeks, a version of you that is completely dependent on his approval to function. Now I will reveal the two most devastating signs, those that definitively confirm that you are not just dealing with someone difficult, but with an emotional predator who found in you his favorite prey. The fourth sign is aggressive gaslighting. He doesn't just deny your reality. He attacks your sanity with sadistic pleasure. When you confront obviously problematic behaviors, he doesn't defend himself. He counterattacks your ability to perceive reality. You're crazy. You're pathetic. You make things up. You're paranoid. These are not defensive reactions. They are calculated attacks on your mental stability. He seems genuinely to enjoy watching you confused, doubting your own perceptions, questioning your own sanity. The goal is not just to escape responsibility for his own actions. It is to destroy your ability to trust yourself. He wants you to become completely dependent on the version of reality he offers, even when that version completely contradicts what your eyes saw and your ears heard. This is more than manipulation. It is a deliberate attempt to fragment your personality, to transform you into an extension of his sick psyche. Jung would call this an attempt at psychic possession. The sadist literally tries to inhabit your mind, replacing your perceptions with his distorted projections. The fifth and most devastating sign is the cruel discard with calculated timing. When the sadistic narcissist decides to end the relationship or threaten to end it, he specifically chooses the moments that will cause the maximum emotional destruction possible. He breaks up with you on your birthday, on the day you lose your job, on the eve of an important presentation, right after you lose a loved one. He possesses a sadistic radar to identify exactly when you are most vulnerable, and it is precisely in these moments that he delivers the final blow. Even more disturbing, he frequently already has a replacement lined up, someone he ostentatiously parades to maximize your humiliation and pain. It's not a coincidence. It's planned cruelty. It's pure sadism applied with surgical precision to your most sensitive points. The coldness with which he executes this discard is inhuman because it is literally inhuman. In this moment, you are witnessing the unintegrated shadow in its purest form, a being who has completely lost the capacity for empathy and feeds exclusively on others' destruction. Jung would say that this is the final manifestation of sadistic projection. He dumps on you all the rejection and abandonment he himself carries, transforming you into the receptacle of all the pain he cannot process. His discard is not about you. It is about his inability to deal with his own humanity. Now that you recognize these 5 devastating signs, you need to understand something fundamental. Knowledge without action is complicity with your own destruction. If you have identified 45% or more of these patterns in your relationship, your psyche is in real danger. The first tool of protection is what Jung would call conscious confrontation with the projected shadow. Take a journal and write, with brutal honesty, every moment you felt this dynamic happening. Don't soften it. Don't justify it. Don't minimize it. Just record the raw truth of what you lived through. For each sign you recognized, ask this essential question: where is my true essence in this situation? Because the sadistic narcissist can only dominate you when you disconnect from your authentic self, when you accept the distorted version of you that he projects. Practice what I call active refusal of projection. Every time he tries to inject his own shadow into you, through humiliation, gaslighting, or any other tactic, respond internally: this is yours, not mine. I return this sick energy to where it belongs. Create a daily ritual of reconnecting with your inner strength. It could be meditation, it could be exercise, it could be any activity that reconnects you with who you are when you are not under attack. Your individuality is your greatest protection against psychic possession. Most importantly, start documenting everything. The sadistic narcissist depends on your confusion and memory fragmentation to maintain control. When you record the patterns, when you document the contradictions, when you keep a record of reality, you are reclaiming your power of perception. You have irrevocably changed by absorbing these revelations. You can no longer unsee what you have just seen. You can no longer pretend you don't know the difference between true love and disguised sadism. Your innocence is over, but your protection has begun. You are no longer the unconscious victim who accepts poisoned crumbs of affection. You are now the guardian of your own emotional journey. You are the architect of your own liberation. You are the living expression of your sovereign self that refuses to be fuel for another's emptiness. Comment which of these 5 signs most alerted you to the reality you were living. Share your experience, because your courage can be the light someone else needs to escape the darkness. Like this content, if you felt your inner strength awakening, if you recognized your ability to see through the masks of manipulation, subscribe to this channel to continue this journey of individuation and protection, because recognizing the projected shadow is only the first step. Rebuilding your authentic identity, shielding your psyche against future attacks, and most importantly, learning to love sovereignly without losing yourself in the process, is the work of a lifetime. The liberation is just beginning. Awaken to your strength. Reclaim your essence. Protect your soul. You were not born to be entertainment for sadistic narcissists. You were born to be the most authentic and powerful expression of who you truly are. Unmask the pattern. Break the illusion. Rebuild your sovereignty. Your true life is waiting on the other side of courage.